This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Coffee-fueled stories. Hello, hello, hello. It's me, Michelle, your host and pocket DJ of Coffee Fueled Stories, a show where storytelling and coffee hang out. Today's super special guest is Joe Ripple, and he is the gentleman behind Scares That Care. Hello, Joe.
Good afternoon. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having this conversation. This is awesome. So, Joe, would you please let the listeners know a little bit about Scares That Care, is it safe to call it AuthorCon, or is it like what is the proper way to say it?
Yeah, Scares That Care presents AuthorCon is just fine.
Awesome. Please let the listeners know a little bit more about this.
Okay, so Scares That Care was founded as a organization back in the late 80s, early 90s. I was a police officer, and my partner at the time had a 3-year-old daughter who contracted an inoperable brain tumor. Unfortunately, she passed when she was 4 years old, and I had the distinct honor of being one of her pallbearers. As I was doing that in the police department, I was also the head of a major East Coast horror convention called Horror Find. And I really got to see how kind and generous the horror community was in general. And I also noticed that they didn't have any kind of banner with which they could donate back to help people in need. They didn't have their own banner, I should say. So I put two and two together, and Scares That Care was born. And over the years, we've obtained our 501c3, which means we're an IRS-approved charitable organization. And we've raised and donated a little over $440,000 to families in need. Each year we select a lady who's fighting breast cancer, obviously a child who is sick or terminally ill, and a child or adult that's been severely burned. We raise $30,000, and then we give each family a check for $10,000. We used to put on a full-fledged horror convention ourselves with celebrities and the like, and just got to be too cost prohibitive with all the flights and all of the requirements that some of the celebrities had. So Brian Keene, who is on our board of directors, said, why don't we just try to do a show that's related around authors? I think it'll be a success. We've always had authors at our show. We've always considered them to be just as an integral part. I was a little hesitant, I'll be honest with you, because I wasn't sure about the author community and would the risk be worth the reward? And to my absolute happy satisfaction of being wrong, AuthorCon has been extremely successful. We're able to help a lot of people in need just based on the authors and the reader community.
Like, that is so wonderful to hear. And like, that just makes my heart like so happy. And that everybody who participates, that's there is doing this for a cause. They're not doing it for anything other than to help. And that makes me like so happy. So to have you on the show to talk about this just makes me like so happy.
Well, thank you. I would like to add just one more thing, if I may.
Yes.
We're an all-volunteer organization. So none of the money ever raised ever comes to me, any of the board members, any of the managers. We do this all volunteer. So it's truly a labor of love. And it's important that we ask people to continue to support us, because the more support we get, the more people we can help.
That is absolutely awesome. Now, the other cons that you have, the places that you do these, do they also kind of sponsor? Like how?
Well, this year is the first time that we are venturing out of our comfort zone.
Okay.
So we typically hold our show in Williamsburg, Virginia. This year, however, we are actually going to St. Louis, Missouri.
I was just going to say you're going to be in St. Louis for
Yeah.
the October one, the
Yes.
AuthorCon 4.
AuthorCon 4, we will be in St. Louis, and that's an exciting event. We still have a few tables available there, so if any of your listeners would like to come and table with us, we'd love to have you. And we're also, I should say, we're also open to all genres. We believe that, we never exclude anybody. We never kind of say, oh, no, this is only a horror show. We want everybody to succeed, because if we help other people succeed, then we succeed ourselves. So we're open to everybody. And yeah, St. Louis is a nerve-wracking but exciting time for us. First time going off the East Coast.
That is awesome. Yeah, when I saw the arch, I was like, oh my gosh, I was like, they're going to be in St. Louis. I've never been there. One of these days I hope to attend. I would love to attend and be a guest at one of these awesome events. Like I said, what you do is just absolutely amazing. I just love it. And that's part of, I feel like, I've embraced the horror community, and they do so much. So to have all of this in one, and like you said, it's not just the horror community. So I don't know, like I said, it's just, my cheeks hurt because I'm smiling, because like this is just to have you doing what you're doing is just absolutely amazing. And like I said, I hope to have this conversation, 20 years from now, and what is it, HorrorCon like 500 or something like that. Or sorry, AuthorCon 500.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. But I do appreciate the kind words. I cannot give enough credit to the team that supports, from our board of directors to Brian Keene to Sonora Taylor, both of whom are in the author community. A lot of kudos needs to go to them, because I'll be blatantly honest with you. I'm not of that community. That's not something that, I ever took part in, but you trust the people that you bring in to help you out. And, so a lot of the success, goes to them, and especially to Brian Keene. So, I just want to make sure we get that out there.
100%. I'm all about shouting out everybody that's involved, because we lift each other up. So I 100% get that. I totally do.
Yes.
I do want to ask you a couple of questions. I wanted to be a police officer, and so you have a special place in my heart personally, in that regard, for your former career before doing the good things that you're doing now with AuthorCon. Just that's the whole reason I actually joined the Air Force. I wanted to be a security police in the Air Force, but I unfortunately ended up in supply, which I loved my job as supply weenie, as we used to say. Everybody wanted to be friends with supply.
Yes.
They thought we could get them the good stuff, and I'm like, as long as you've got paperwork, I'll give you whatever you want.
Right.
But I wrote SOPs. I used to love that. I was a technical writer, and I did SOPs, standard operating procedures. I thought one of the coolest things I could do would be to write SOPs with the police, and do really cool like tactics and things like that. And so this is going to be a really silly question, but like, as far as your police work was concerned,
Mm-hmm.
did you ever experience an SOP where you're like, who the hell wrote this, and what were they thinking when they wrote this standard operating procedure? Or were you one of the guys that was like, awesome, SOP, save lives?
Well, I mean, I was also in the military. I was in the Army prior to going into the police department, so I'm extremely familiar with what you're speaking about. As far as SOPs go, I think they're just like any other work rules at any job, right? There's going to be some you like, some you don't like, but SOPs are largely in place because somebody has made a mistake along the line somewhere and got called on the carpet for it. So then they have to put out an SOP to make sure that everybody doesn't do the same mistake again. Now, whether or not you agree with an SOP or not, yeah, there's some things, some different rules and things like that it's all, I think, done to protect the brand, so to speak. Not necessarily to infuriate the people that work for that brand. So I think SOPs are good. We don't have a lot of SOPs with the charity, but there are some expectations and some rules and things like that I expect and the board expects everybody to follow. And if you can't follow them, then you can't be a part of the charity. And that's not saying anything mean, or sometimes, people think that they want to be part of something and they turn out it's just not for them. And so, but getting back to SOPs, I think there's a reason for them, but I do think they're important. I think there's a need for them. Absolutely.
Have you noticed how Coffee Fueled Stories doesn't have any ads? That's because I work tirelessly to keep this show alive. After 3 years on my own, I've decided I need to ask for your help. I've never asked anyone to subscribe. I've never asked anyone to leave a review. I've never asked anyone to rate the show. And I've never asked anyone to pay to listen. There are a few ways you can help support the show. I've created a Patreon page, Coffee Fueled Stories, and a subscription section on my podcast website. It's simple to support and help me keep my dream alive. Just click the link in the show notes to set up your paid subscription option. It's that easy. Thank you for your support. Like, I never take it personally. I'm like, the company hires me to write the documents because somebody, like you said, I'll give you an example. The very first thing I put in my documents are PPE, right? Personal protective equipment, because it's there for your safety. So for example, somebody was working with some glue, and the very first thing you're supposed to do is wear gloves, nitrile gloves, not latex, because the glue will melt the latex. So nitrile gloves and safety glasses. And sure enough, the guy wasn't wearing safety glasses or gloves, and he ended up super gluing his eye because he squirted it and it squirted into his eye. And I'm like, this is why I write the document. Like, please don't glue your eye. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, but I get it.
Well,
I know.
It's just like social media. It's just like social media. People don't read. I love social media. I think it has an absolute need. I think it's great for businesses, and especially for charities like ours. So to your point, SOPs are good, but they have to be read. They have to be understood.
Yes.
And they have to be followed.
Yes.
So
Totally.
Yeah.
I even wrote an SOP for the guests. Because I know some people hate SOPs, and of course I love all of the military memes where they talk about like safety. It lists safety number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4, and sometimes it's like 10, and they're like, hell, so So I've seen those memes. I've worked with some of those guys. I just let it kind of roll off of me, so to speak, like you were saying.
Yeah. Well, my favorite meme is where somebody says you cannot smell a picture, and then underneath of it, it's a picture of the gas chamber where they introduce you to CS gas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We can smell that picture. Anybody who's been in the military can smell that picture.
Yeah, my favorite memory it's not that, but it's related to I was stationed in Turkey, and it was right after a desert storm, and so we had to do chemical training.
Oh, mop gear.
Mop gear, yes sir. And my favorite part was when you have to, like, the whole day, you literally spend the whole day just training and training and training. But the best part, and I still laugh about this to this day, maybe you do as well, but literally they time it and they're like, you're dead, you failed, you're dead, do it again, you're dead, you failed. And you're just like, oh my God. And you literally just put the mop gear on all day long, all day long, all day long, until you can do it in the time allotted and survive.
Yeah. And it's probably not that you failed, but it's getting that muscle memory and repetition.
Yes.
So that when it does go south,
Yep.
you have a better chance of surviving. I will say that.
Yes, your hand goes right there.
Yep.
You just, like you said, and because we were watching a show, and the guys were wearing masks, and somebody I think it might have been in like a movie or a TV show, and it was showing the draining, and it was disgusting, and I was like, oh yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, been there, done that.
Been there, done that. Don't use water.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, that's taken. But thank you for that. But that's kind of what one of the reasons I laugh at SOPs is because, like you were saying, like you drill it into your head. But getting back to AuthorCon, and the show and the events that you put on.
Mhm.
And you were saying like it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't know if you would like to share like the numbers, if like when you first started this, this is more as a comparison, not as a like a gloating thing. It would be
Right.
like we only had 10 tables the first AuthorCon that we had, and now we have like a room full of 200 tables or something along those lines, just to kind of share with the listeners to show the success that you have come into.
Well, we are seeing a lot of similar shows pop up now, and there's some things that we are taking away from that. Um, but when we first started, we sold out about 90 some tables year one. Now, please keep in mind, a lot of these people were already aware of us because of our previous summer shows with the celebrities and things like that. Year two, we decided to lower because what we had was we had a lot of people who couldn't get into the event, and they were a little bit disappointed. Um, so year two, what we did was we said, okay, we're going to lower the cost of the table, but we're only going to allow one author at each table. And then we're going to expand over into the conference center, put more authors over in the conference center, things like that. That did not work. Friday, people were coming in, they were going into the ballroom, but they were not going into the conference center, which is basically across the promenade. So when authors started coming to us and say, look, this is not working for us, I immediately directed my team to pull all of the tables down out of the conference center and put them in our main promenade area, and which is just outside the ballroom, and then try to squeeze some tables inside the ballroom so that everybody could benefit from their investment, right? Because it is a huge investment. You're buying a table,
Yeah.
you've got to get a hotel room, you got to worry about food. So ultimately, we want to make everybody as happy as we possibly can. And I personally received a lot of compliments about that, because a lot of the authors were saying, look, we've been to shows, we've had issues, and nobody listened to us. When we opened up our tables for AuthorCon 3, which we just had,
Yes.
we opened them up in May of last year. And I always have this running joke with Jake, my floor manager, who is absolutely a rock star when it comes to, getting the table set and the layout and things like that. So kudos to Jake. As a matter of fact, we just gave him a special award this past show. Um, but we have this running joke where he says, how long is it going to take to sell out? And I say, I think we're going to get half the tables sold, and then we'll have a couple more by the end of the week, and by the end of the month, they'll all be gone. Now, we had 98 tables in the ballroom, and we had, I believe it was 12 or 14 tables out in the promenade. And when I launched the link, the tables sold out in a little over 3 minutes, and but authors could share tables. So now if an author wants to reduce the cost of the table, they can share with another author. Each table comes with 2 badges. So it's kind of really nice to be able to offer that to them. But as you can imagine, we had about, I would say, 180% growth from year 2 to year 3. And I don't have the actual numbers here in front of me, but I can tell you that our ticket sales has substantially increased, and we're getting ready to launch our tables for next year's show, AuthorCon 5, on May 18th.
All right.
And it's going to be exciting to see how fast they go. I'm still saying a week. Jake is still saying a couple minutes, so we'll see. But again, going back to what I was alluding to before, you're starting to see more of these author-centric shows pop up, and that actually kind of gives an author pause, right? Do I want to travel 2 hours to a show that's close to me, or do I want to go to AuthorCon? And if they opt to go to the show 2 hours close to them, that kind of takes away from our event, which is, business is business, right?
Right.
But, just to remind everybody that, we are a charity, and,
Yes.
it's that money goes to people that need it. So.
Yes, and that's when I see the pictures, like everybody was posting. I follow a lot of the authors who attended, and seeing everybody's pictures, everybody is so happy, to share and support. And that's what I'm saying. Like that just makes my little heart burst. And that's the beauty of it, as opposed to going to a con where you try to, like, focus on selling books and merch and things of that nature. This is focused on a cause. And that is just, like I said, that just makes me so happy.
Yeah, and not for nothing, there are certain situations that pop up that we have to make calls on. But that's true for every show. And at the end of the day, you're right. It's about trying to do what we can to make people happy, but it's also important for us to show people what it is that we do. Right? Nick Roberts' son, who pulled the clothes steamer down on top of him, and he got burned. Well, one of the people we help each year was a child or adult that's been severely burned.
Yes.
His first bill that he got from the hospital was $95,000. Now, insurance covered a lot of that, but there was still an outlay that he needed to make. So, because he is an author, and because we did not have yet anybody selected to be our quote unquote burn gift recipient, we selected his son, and we surprised Nick at the show with his check of $10,000. And that's the thing with us, with our charity. Everybody that we adopt, and I'm using air quotes when I say adopt, they have to agree to allow us to share their photos and their story.
Yep.
And then that way, everybody who is contributing can actually see where their money is going.
Yes.
We think that's very important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That you want to feel connected. You want to know that you are doing something good and something for someone else. That's where
Right. Right. And that's important, right? Because at the end of the day, it's necessary for us to be fiscally responsible, which is why we stopped doing the show with the celebrities. It just got to be, not for nothing. Most celebrities are really, really nice. They understand, they support. But there are some celebrities. Well, you got to fly me out. You got to fly my wife out. My agent's got to come. We all need first class flights. We need suites. We need a limousine service, and it's cost upon cost upon cost upon cost. And when you look at it, the convention was designed to support the charity. The charity was not designed to support the convention.
Yes.
And much as I hate cutting anything off, the charity has to come first.
Yes.
So,
And in my mind, I'm like, these are the people that they should be like, you know what? I'll stay at the Best Western down the street and I'll write you personally a $10,000 check. At least that's where my mind goes, because they are the ones that shouldn't be asking of a charity.
yeah.
It's you're doing this for, but then again, that's my naivete. So
Yeah, it's and that's why I enjoy the authors so much more. Like I said, that's not all celebrities. 90% of the celebrities are
yes.
fans, but the authors, the thing that I have found most striking, and I'm extremely extroverted. I have no problem walking up, introducing myself. I have no problem standing up and speaking in front of an auditorium full of people. That's who I am. But I found it most striking that from an outsider looking in, meaning me, somebody not in the author community, how extremely reserved and introverted some of these authors are.
Yes.
And it's something that I was thinking the complete opposite. I was thinking, these people are writers. They're going to be out. They're going to be talking, and many of them are extremely, extremely reserved. And I put a post up. I said something to the effect of, I've seen people talk about how nervous they are, about how they're afraid to talk to people, about how introverted they are. And from an outsider looking in, I said, I wish you could all see how much we appreciate your talent, your abilities, and the way that you entertain people from a perspective that is reserved for a specific crowd. I've seen people get all verklempt over somebody who's an author, and I'm like, I haven't seen that somebody act like this even with a celebrity. So I mean, I wish, obviously I can't control everybody's personalities and how they are. They are who they are, and they should be respected for that. But in my mind, I just wish that these people could see how truly special they are.
The fact that you said that, like, that again, wow. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I was like, I've got to have Joe on the show. I need Joe to talk about what he does and what you guys do for this charity. Like, it just, I want to share all the good people out there. So I love that you are experiencing all of this, and I just want to share and spread the joy. So to
Yeah.
hear you say that is just absolutely amazing. I love hearing that.
I will say you authors drink a lot. I will say that. Oh, at our event, the bar was hopping. But again, it goes to what is best for the show, right? What is
Yes.
best for people that are attending. Year one, we had karaoke, or what we call karaoke, in the bar area. And a couple people sang. Mostly they were people who were not of the event. But looking around, all the authors were kind of like getting a drink and leaving. And I'm like, okay, karaoke is not working in this bar. The authors want to have some place to talk. So year two, I yanked it. I said, we're not doing karaoke in the bar. The authors don't like it, so we're not going to do it. And I posted up that we were removing karaoke out of the bar. And one author replied, Joe, way to read the room. And, it was just something that, but I don't get a lot of complaints. I don't get a lot of complaints because I feel like authors would be, well, I don't want to complain to Joe because then Joe won't invite me back. And I've always said, look, if there's a way we can do things better, please let me know and we'll do it. One of the things that I want to put out to your listeners, because I don't want there to be any misunderstandings about what it is that we do. The very first year we did Scares That Care Charity Weekend, we had a large pink bra. I think it was like 44 double G or something like that. And we had all the celebrities sign it with the intent of raffling it off so that we could raise money for the charity, obviously. In order to sell raffle tickets, I said, well, let me just put the bra on over top of my shirt. That way I don't have to carry it. And I'll walk through the bar. I'll sell raffle tickets. Well, sometimes there's happy accidents. And when I walked into the bar, I did not sell any raffle tickets, but people started shoving 1s, 5s, 10s, and 20s into the bra. So every year at our events, we do something called the bra walk. And it's not meant to make fun of anybody. It's not meant to degrade anybody of any type of community. I look at it as a way that if a lady's fighting breast cancer and going through what she's going through, we can dress up, suffer 45 minutes of embarrassment, raise some extra money for that lady. And this past show, Wrath James White, Brian Keene, and our accountant, Andrew, who is about almost 7 feet tall and dresses up as the Grim Reaper, all put on bras. And we raised an additional $5,000 for a lady who's fighting breast cancer. And we always have that disclaimer at the beginning of the show. Look, this is not to make fun of anybody. We're not trying to, denigrate people who enjoy drag. Our community is open and safe for everyone. I am a firm supporter of the LGBTQIA plus community. It's on my profile. And if you don't like it, then sorry, but that's who I am. And we want to make sure that people understand the reasoning behind it and the story behind how that came to be.
Yes. And that photo was, I did see the photo, and I didn't, because, I'm kind of new coming into this, and I'm like, what is all of this about? What is Scares That Care? I keep hearing, authors that I've talked with, talk about it, but I didn't understand what it was. And then when I saw that photo, like I said, everybody was sharing photos and things. I was like, there must be a good story behind this. And so, yes, there you have it. There's the lovely story behind it. And hey,
Yeah.
It's a great way to raise money, and like you said, now that that's what people know, they're like ready for it. They're like, oh, it's time for the bra walk. Let's get the money ready. I love it.
Yeah. And, obviously we do have some people who can't see it for what it is, but we're not going to change it because of one or two people. And I think that is the ultimate difficulty when you're dealing with anybody in the public, we've been doing this for such a long time now, and you have one or two people that'll come along and say, well, I don't agree with that. I don't think that should be done. Well, I'm sorry that you disagree with it, but we are going to continue to do it because it's going to help us to reach our goal faster. Don't look at it for what it is, look at it for what it does.
Yes, I love that. All right, Joe. So you have answered a lot of questions. You've explained a lot about what you do and why you do what you do. How can people find out more information about Scares That Care AuthorCon?
Well, the best way they can do is go to our website, which is www.scaresthatcare.org. Now, sometimes people say, well, I can't find your website. It's because they're putting in scaresthatcares.org. It's scaresthatcare.org. And on there, you can click on the different links at the top. One of them is charity events, and that'll list all of the AuthorCons and some of the other shows that we are going to be invited to.
And you also, there's like, you have a shop in there as well. So you have some swag and things of that nature as well. So
Correct.
even if you can't attend, or if you don't, if you're not able to donate, you could either buy something to show your support as well. Yes?
Yes. And from time to time, we'll put up special events. Those are usually through Facebook, such as, like $5 donation days, or if we're having an event, we typically put up a text to donate, kind of like a I can't be there, but I still care kind of thing. So people can, like the last one we had, text AC3 to 41444, and people could make donations that way. And that was during our last AuthorCon. So we oftentimes will put up things like that. We just ask people to join the group pages for the AuthorCon events or the regular Scares That Care Facebook page.
Awesome. And when is the Scares That Care AuthorCon 4 going to be?
Oh, great. Now you're really putting me out on a limb here.
Oh,
I think it's the 4th, October 4th through the 6th, I want to say.
I was going to say it's October. I can make sure. I'm going to put all of the links in the show notes. I want to make sure. It was just to give people a chance to understand that this is coming up in October. So I apologize too.
I think it's, if you click charity events, you go to AuthorCon 4. It is October 4th through the 6th, 2024.
Awesome. And in St. Louis.
In St. Louis, that's right.
That's
excited
awesome.
to be out. Excited to be out to the Midwest, and we got the dates for AuthorCon 5 are March 28th through the 30th of next year.
That is awesome. And like I said, this is I'm so happy to share this, and I can't wait to see the photos and all of the find out how much money you guys raised. Again, all for a very, very, very good cause. And I love that you're a huge Baltimore Raven fan.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I saw you have a Raven mask even that looks like the hockey mask. You have a jersey. Like I just love seeing all those pictures. It's like I said, it's just, even though I'm not there, I feel like I can be a part of the event through those awesome photos.
Absolutely. We appreciate your support, and we appreciate it. And we'd love to have you out to an event one time. Maybe you could set something up. You can actually do interviews there with some of the authors for your podcast. We'd love to have you.
Oh, that would be awesome. I would love to do that. I would 100% love to do that. Maybe we can we can take that offline and talk a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we can write an SOP about it. It'd be all right.
That would be awesome. Joe,
Yeah.
Mr. Joe Ripple, thank you so much for your time today. It has been truly lovely talking with you about this awesome event that you guys put on. And thank you so much again for your time.
Well, the pleasure was all mine, and thank you again for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. The tagline for my show is "Go forth and be magical." Would you please send us off today?
Ladies and gentlemen, those of the author community and beyond, please go forth, be magical, because you're awesome.